Paulo Freire is an educator and one of the grandfathers of critical pedagogy. In his youth, he experienced extreme poverty because of the worldwide depression. He later worked in education where he encountered students who could not focus on studying because of their extreme hunger. Once a teacher told him not to wake a child because he was sleeping, and waking him would be a form of violence. In short, the child could never sleep at home because he was so hungry and so overwhelmed. He later worked for a humanitarian service company called Social Service Industry, or SESI for short. This company provided food, clothing, and other humanitarian type of stuff. However, after working for them for a decade, he began to understand that this company did little to actually empower the working class or to help them become critical in their understanding in their unique predicament. In short, this agency served only to ease class tensions. The agency actually sought to eliminate practice which grew workers' critical theory or their knowledge. As he grew in education, he began to equate some of the same facets of not empower the working class in education. And this he developed into one of his most famous pedagogical constructs entitled the banking system of education. He then developed problem-posing questions as a solution to the banking system of education and spent the remainder of his life expanding literacy programs and advocating for critical pedagogy. In the banking system of education, students are fed information for them to consume. Students are only responsible for two things. The first is just to consume, and then to memorize all the information given to them from their teachers. The second is to just merely reproduce what they have learned. They are completely passive in this transaction. They are reduced to passive consumers rather than acting upon and in their education and their own unique life experiences. Just like the bank, the teacher merely deposits the money. The student receives, memorizes, and repeats. There is little interaction and no dialogue. There is no transformation of critical knowledge. Students like a bank just collect and collect. However, unlike a bank, they cannot give back or invest or even change. There is no empowerment or critical analysis of one's life and circumstances. Therefore, the banking system for Freire is dehumanizing. Education for him should be an act of critical inquiry, supplemented with dialogue. However, banking education derails this possibility. Students are silenced in their voice in any means of changing their predicament or their problems or analyzing any solutions for those problems. So, what is the solution to the banking system of education? Paulo Freire once articulated that the teacher no longer is the one who teaches, but the one who themselves is taught in dialogue with the students, who in turn is also being taught. They become jointly responsible for a process in which everyone grows. He suggested to have open dialogue between students and teachers and students. There's no longer just a long monologue instruction by the teacher, and the student just passively receiving all the information. Instead, authentic dialogue is done through problem posing. Students are given or even come up with their own problems that they have, are now encountering, or may encounter in the future. The student comes up with solutions or discuss how they might resolve or respond to these problems. The important piece is that students are connecting their own experiences and connecting these to real world problems, which helps them both understand and further develop their thought process. Paulo Freire also adds that when this dialogue exists, the teacher and the student of the teacher no longer exist. The student is no longer just a docile listener, but is transferred into a critical co-investigator of knowledge with the teacher. In this relationship and this context, students no longer passively just accept their roles in life. Instead, they can think and reflect critically on these problems, their surroundings, and their circumstances. The teacher is no longer just depositing information, but helps the students become aware through both introspection and action. Students reflect critically on their surroundings and their problems. The teacher doesn't just make them aware, teacher instead empowers students to arrive at this process of becoming aware by reflection and action. Thank you.